all the songs that we would sing in the camp, that I would feel the presence of God. And my faith is really about my connection to God and a personal relationship with God. And there was nothing that, took me away from the Jewish religion. I really loved it. When my parents got divorced, we didn't practice it as much. But I think that my faith really got taken to the next level when my brother died. I was 19 years old and he was 16. And the weekend, it was February 16, 1992. And I was divinely guided to spend the last weekend of his life with him. I had made plans to be with my boyfriend, and we were going to go and do whatever you do on Valentine's Day. But God had said, Deborah, this weekend I want you to spend with your brother David. And as a 19-year-old teenager, I thought that was silly, But one of the things that I do as a practice of my faith is I listen. We all have the power of discernment. And as a recovering adrenaline addict, I can get caught up in doing, and not take the time just to be. And we are human beings. And being in that place of being, I was given the blessing of hearing that voice of God that said, spend the weekend with your brother. And my brother and I had the most amazing weekend. I mean, we rode the bus, from the valley up and down to Panda Boulevard, went to the mall, hung out. And Michael Jackson had a video, Remember the Times, or sing the blues, go around, and all that stuff. And I just, when he passed away, at first I thought, wow, I felt like survivor's guilt. I felt it was a tragedy. And then after, I had to do a lot of spiritual searching, soul searching. And it's like, well, why am I alive and why is he passed? He is and was the embodiment of unconditional love because he had a disability. He had a developmental disability. And when you have a developmental disability, you can't reason the difference between someone that's black, that's white, that's Latino. He just saw love. And that was such a wonderful teaching for me. And so I reframed the experience in my mind that it wasn't a tragedy, that it was a destiny. And that he was here on this planet to live 16 years. And he had a lot to learn and a lot to teach. And when that was complete, it was over. And I really, that faith in life, and we talk about eternal life, really was confirmed when my mentor, who was my grandmother, who was from Latvia and Lithuania, and always wanted me to marry. She said, just as easy to marry a nice Jewish doctor as anybody else. That was like her thing. And, she was so much into the practice when we talk about new thought, ancient wisdom. It's about the power of our thoughts, that our thoughts create our reality. And she firmly believed that, because she said that if you think you're old, then you are old. And so she decided at 39 to stop counting. And just to keep going, and she was just going to live a life of being smart and wise by always doing crossword puzzles and surrounding herself with younger people and just living that life. And she never, because her thoughts were focused on her health and her vitality, she wasn't sick. And at around 95 years old, she had a minor stroke just because the body started giving out. And I remember when she woke up from the hospital, the first thing that she said, we were asking her, what day is it? She's like, Tuesday. Who's the president? She's like, is it still that idiot Bush? She was like, all political. And then she had like this worried look on her face, and they're like, are you okay? And she's like, I don't think that Condoleezza Rice has the intelligence to take over the top, So this is what her mentality was coming out of a stroke. And when she was 97, she said, you know what? It was after Mother's Day, because she wanted to make sure she got her gifts first. She said, Deborah, you know what? I'm tired, and it's time to go. And I was like, okay, Grandma. Because she was so funny, because when she was 80, she didn't want people to fight over money when she died, so she started giving away everything. So she had nothing left at night. She was so wise, right? And so at the very end of her life, her last words, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I believe everything is divine, so I have to constantly remind myself. When I have a judgment about something, I'll be like, no, it's divine. But I was in the hospital. I had a car accident the night that she died. And so I was in the hospital. My mom was with her. And as she was about to pass, she said, David. And the nurse was like, who's David? And that's my brother. So I just felt so that it just renewed and restored my faith, because, every day that my brother has been gone. It's been more years that he's been gone than he's been alive. But that was such an opportunity for me to expand my faith and to trust that there's no such, I don't believe that there's such a thing as a punishing God. I believe in a benevolent God. In my practice of New Thought, it's all of the truths of all the religions, of Islam, of Catholicism, of Judaism. It's the universal truth that all paths lead to God. And it's not Christ or Buddha or Muhammad, but it's all, and whatever path that you choose is your divine path as long as you're at peace with it. And so the passing of both my brother and my grandmother has led me to a peace in my understanding of my practice as a spiritual learner, always learning and unfolding. So I'm sure that was 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. And we, by no means, are saying that we're going to learn everything about everything right now, because New Thought is, that the basis is God is all. God is one. So it's the basis, and all the faiths and religions are much more complex than we can ever really do in the few minutes that we have here. We just want to share some knowledge. I'm going to move over here. I would love to hear from Susan and the confraternity of the Rosary, and how you feel you are as a Latina Catholic, which is Catholic Latina.
Okay. Earlier, you asked the audience to raise their hand about how many of us were Catholics, were born and raised Catholics. How many were there? Can you raise your hands again? Because I don't really want to go through the whole list. I wrote it down because, like someone stated a few minutes ago, that they were menopausal, so and I'm kind of a nervous speaker. I've been teaching 22 years, but I only teach 8 and 9-year-olds. I'm very, very comfortable in that setting. It's a little harder with my constituents, but so I wrote some things down, but since there's so many Catholic women here, I'm just going to kind of like go over what my faith is based on. It's based on the belief that there's one God, and that God is broken into the Trinity, God the Father, Jesus Christ, His Son, and the Holy Spirit.